This episode of the Dicebreaker podcast is sponsored by eBay. Level up your trading card game selling with eBay's new image scanning tool. Sellers can now scan their trading cards and create a listing in half the time. The new selling tool supports Magic the Gathering, Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and coming soon, sports trading cards and other collectible card games. It's an easy 3-step process. Simply open your eBay app, go to Selling, and search for your card category. Use the new image tool to snap a photo and enter in other details like condition and price. Hit list your item and you're done. It's a snap. Get the eBay app now on iOS or Android, list your Magic the Gathering, Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and start making money on your collections. To learn more, visit ebay.com/scan to list. Link in the description below. This episode of the Dice...
Hello and welcome to the Dicebreaker podcast. It's Friday, it's Bonfire night, it's Guy Fawkes night, is that what we call it? I don't know if it's an English tradition.
I'm
for
not
those
from around
watching
here.
From the US, and outside of, I guess, is it like an England thing rather than a UK thing, I guess?
I mean, predominantly because it's like our problem, right?
So for those not familiar, it's the day where the UK or England at least goes full Wicker Man. We make a human-looking effigy, stick it on top of a bonfire.
So I will highlight the whole human effigy thing. We don't do as much anymore these days. It's much more a fireworks thing because turns out that burning effigies of historical figures isn't so in.
It's gone out of fashion.
Yeah, I have very, I guess, not fond, but I have memories at least of my lower school doing a bonfire night and accidentally setting the hedge that ringed the whole playground on fire. So then the entire hedge was ablaze, and that was quite an experience as like a 6-year-old to see your entire school playground ablaze. So yes,
that's incredible.
If you're going out for bonfire night, obviously stay safe, handle fireworks.
Get some sparklers because they're the best thing.
Yeah,
love me a sparkler. I will say I have a very distinct memory of my grandfather who is sadly passed away, but he used to run our bonfire nights when we were very small, and he used to use these things called, I think they were called like Catherine wheels or something.
Oh, I know those.
Yeah, but you would attach them to like a wall and then set them alight, and they would spin and fireworks would come out of them. They were exceptionally dangerous, so dangerous that in fact I don't think they sell them anymore because they could loosen from like wherever they were held onto, and when they did that there was no controlling that situation. So I remember that happening and it firing like across the garden and setting light to one of my mum's plants. It was...
Fireworks are terrifying. It turns out, like you set fire to an explosive, it suddenly becomes a lot scarier. Yeah, like my aunt and uncle had a similar thing where one of the kind of upright rockets just kind of slanted over in the soil after it was lit and just like went into their shed, like open garden shed where things were.
God.
It's like a fire is a fascinating and terrifying thing.
But what do we do here, Matt Jarvis? We don't talk about fireworks.
Normally I introduce who's here, but I didn't do that. I launched straight into anecdotes about fireworks. Yes, I'm Matt Jarvis. I'm joined this week by two of the team, returning, of course. Alex Meehan, hello. How are you doing?
Yep. You can't get rid of me. I'm back.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm doing good.
All right. And, of course, Alex Lolies also joining us. Hello, Lolies. How are you today?
Pew, 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 pew. Pew, pew. This is
Fireworks fingers Lolies.
No, this is my new catchphrase. So I would like it if everyone please took that forward with them going forward. Pew pew.
Pew pew.
Pew pew.
You're like Mick Foley, the wrestler. Cactus Jack, the famous wrestler, would basically walk up and just be like bang bang. So
there you go.
Cactus Jack.
Perfect.
I love it when you make these references that you know that neither of us are going to get.
Look, Lolies was into wrestling. I felt like I was on.
Somebody's going to get it. Somebody's going to get it.
Someone out there.
Yeah. I'm also good. Pew pew.
Yeah. Pew pew.
It's like being on a walkie-talkie, but you have to end every sentence with pew pew. But yes, hello, we're here once again to talk about board games and other things, hopefully, because I haven't really played many board games this week. It's been a busy week. But yeah, and then we have, of course, our weekly segment. We will have some questions from the audience. If you're listening along live, drop them into the chat. Because due to various ongoing things, we didn't receive any emails to the podcast at Dicebreaker.com address for a couple of days because we were in the middle of a tech transition over here. So if you've got some questions or you emailed in with one, please send it again because some of them didn't make it through. But yes, let's dive in with what we've been up to this week. Let's look background to you. What have you been up to recently?
Me? Let me tell you, Matt, what I've been up to. I wasn't on last week's podcast, so I'm actually gonna talk about what I played not in the last week, but 2 weeks ago, because I've not played anything in the last week except for Welcome to. I'm back on that horse again, and I think it was essentially when we went to Essen and I saw the new Welcome to the Moon thing. I was like, oh, I really want to play Welcome to. So ever since, I've been playing it a lot.
Oh, so you have been playing vanilla Welcome to?
Yeah,
Welcome to Your Perfect Home? Is that the
Yes,
full
you
thing?
say vanilla. I am playing the original, but I am playing expert mode with advanced rules. So it's not quite vanilla, but
that's a real humble brag there. Just like, yeah, I'm playing, but you know, not like you would play.
Lolies is not a scrub, okay, Matt. Lolies plays the hardcore version of Welcome to.
Yeah. Well, I've been playing a mixture actually because it's like whatever is available. I'm just like whatever I can get my hands on I've been playing. But whenever I start a table myself, I'm doing on expert mode. It just makes it a bit different, and you know, I've played hours, as we know, I've played hours and hours and hours of Welcome to before, so it was time to mix things up. So that's been like the main thing I've been doing. But the weekend before last, I went and met some friends. We played some board games. I actually didn't write down the board games I played because usually I have them like in that BGG app. I'm quite good at like keeping track of what I played, but I didn't write them down, so I just had to try and remember. So I remembered some. I played Shifty-Eyed Spies. Do you know? I feel like I talked about it before, probably.
I know this game only by name, and I think I know it mainly by name because you've mentioned it before, but I don't actually know how it plays, so I'm intrigued.
Yeah. I mentioned it in a meeting, actually, didn't I? It's a game where you use your eyes to communicate with each other. You're all like agents, and you get 2 cards. One of them tells you a person, and one of them tells you a location. And you've got these 4 like 3D locations that you kind of spread out on the table, and you're trying to wink at the person you're trying to signal, who's on one card, and you're kind of like trying to wink at them, but like in a way that other players don't notice you winking at them because they can intercept your mission essentially. But you're trying to like get their attention, wink at them, and once you've winked at them and they clock that you've winked at them, they then have to look at their location card and like use their eyes to like point at the location card. And then when it comes back around to you, you go, okay, I'm going to meet this person at this location. And if you both get it correct, you kind of win the cards and you're trying to be the first to win a certain amount of missions. It's a really simple party game, which is all about like winking and like just, and it's even funnier to play it with people who can't wink. Cause they're just like,
yeah, they're just like,
yeah.
This isn't great for an audio medium.
Yeah. We should like do a little voiceover. Meehan squints, winks. I mean, I can't do voiceover audio. Apparently.
Very obvious winks that would probably not pass in Shifty-Eyed Spies.
Yeah, it's just silly. It's just silly little fun. A friend of mine actually brought it back for me from America a few years ago, and I thought it was available over here, but nobody I know knows it. And I've never really seen it in shops much, so I don't know if it made it over here or if it just didn't become popular or what, but it's a nice little game. Played Nice Buns, which is one of the new Big Potato games.
Yep.
I won't talk too much about that because I was actually around when that was being play tested when I was still at Big Potato. That's how long that game's been kind of in the process. So it's the same game, but they've changed the theme. I played War of Whispers, which is a game that's been on my partner's to play list for a couple of months now. Finally played it, and it was terrible. it looked so good, and it was like, it sounded interesting. It was essentially like you were, Littlefinger, or like the spy. Is it the spider Varys is called? You're like them, or is it the spider? No.
Yeah, I think that rings a bell, but I don't know if I've been watching something with a spider in it.
I don't know
if
what.
I just got my mind on spiders.
I don't know what's going on. What's
A
spider?
Game of Thrones reference. Varys.
Oh right. God, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, Varys. Yeah.
He's the
got
spider,
you.
right? So it's kind of like that kind of thing where you're using like information and intrigue to try and help different areas, or like different I don't know what you call them, dynasties or whatever, to
Houses?
power, or houses. Yeah, you're trying to like shift the power around different houses essentially. Hold on, before she goes, I'm gonna lift her up. To anyone who's watching at home, here's a little honey for you. Look.
She always seems
Grumpy.
so impressed.
She's so grumpy. Yeah, so you're trying, and it sounded really intriguing, but then the actual gameplay was dull, and it was a bit confusing and just not very fun. Like, didn't feel like the theme was part of the game at all. Just like.
Is this the one? Because I'm trying to recall. This is like an official Game of Thrones licensed game, correct?
I don't believe so.
You don't believe so? Sorry,
No,
I
it's
thought
not
you
got
were
the houses or
talking-
anything. No.
Okay, right. Sorry, when you were talking about Varys, I was like, oh wait, so this is a Game of Thrones game? But no, it's not.
It's kind of, I was just using that as like a reference to the kind
Okay.
of role that you play in the game, or like supposedly.
I feel like that's the problem with a lot of those kind of games. Like, there aren't that many Game of Thrones games that do that, but like games that go for that kind of like, oh, you're dealing in like deception, and sometimes if they don't manage to get that like flavor right, and you can't get into them and be like, I'm gonna come after you and stab you in the back. Yeah, they just fall flat. There's a couple like that. What?
Yeah.
How dare you say that to me? I can't believe it. You're gonna stab me in the back after all
I
the
mean,
fights you've had.
given the context, we've played Root together. It's like,
Yeah, it's true.
you got to do what you got to do to win.
When you're playing games like that, you become a ruthless, godless
in
man.
the game of boards, you win or you
Die.
be salty.
Yeah, which often happens when we're playing Root. Well, that's a shame, Lolies. I'm sorry it was bad.
I mean, I'm glad we finally got to play it, because it's been on that list forever, but it was... Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I'd be willing to give it another try, despite all that. I'd be willing to give it another try, but I don't see it getting better, because it was... I feel like I can tell what it was I didn't like about it already, and that's not going to change. It's like, part of it is like the way the board is laid out, and it's like stuff like that. I don't know, it's just a bit stupid. Anyway, but the game that we played that I really liked, and I didn't think I would like just based on the name, is called So Clover! Exclamation mark.
Oh, God.
I've not heard of this. What, So Clover?
It's like a play on So Clever, but it's you play with these like clover shapes, and that's why they've done that wordplay. It's actually a really good game though. So the way it works is you each have like a plastic kind of, I don't know, plate, let's say, that's shaped like a clover, and it allows you to put 4 cards on them, and the 4 cards have a word on each side of the card and a hole in the middle. So you kind of like place them randomly on your board, and then on each side of the clover it will have 2 words, and they'll just be random words. Of course, I can't think of a single example of any words. One of them was like, say, champagne and I don't, give me another word.
Platypus.
Platypus. Oh God, what? Okay, platypus and champagne, and you then have to try and think of a word that kind of links them, a little bit like code names, right? And then you write that with a pen on that side of the clover, and you do that for each of the 4 sides, and then we will like add another card to that 4 cards that you already have, add a card to it randomly, shuffle them together, and then you give the board and all the cards to the other players, and they have to try and figure out what cards go where and in what, like, which way they're turned, which way they're supposed to be, based on the words you've given and all the words they can see on all the cards. It's really clever. It's as I say, it's a little bit like Codenames, but I think it's a little bit nicer in the fact that everyone's kind of giving the clues and also trying to guess the clues. So it feels like, not one person is Spy Master and one person is the other person. It's like everyone is everything, and it like plays a bit quicker. And I don't know, I really, really liked it. I think that was the only game that we played like more than once because we all really enjoyed it.
So is this co-op? Are you working together to...
Yeah,
still
so
kind of getting... Okay.
I think, did we do any scoring? I don't think we really did any scoring, so I don't know how that works. But yeah, it does seem to be cooperative. Like, you want people to get it right, and as the people you want to get it right, obviously. I think we kind of did scoring, but we didn't write it down, or like I didn't really get what we're doing. It was like very casual scoring if we did any. It was like, yay, we got 3 right, and then that was kind of it. So I didn't really know what that was.
I recognise this game. We covered it on the site. When it was announced. So Clover.
So
the name
Clover.
was... I don't like the name.
The name and the branding, I think it looks terrible. Like, it's one of those games that again, it was brought to the table and I was like, oh, cool. But then the gameplay was really fun. So it's a bit of a pity that but it also kind of makes sense, I guess. It does look, you're using the shapes of clovers, and I'm wondering if they started with the name or if they started with the theme.
Yeah, because it makes me think like Letter Jam is not the same game, but somehow that works despite the fact that it's got nothing to do with jam. They just put a picture of a strawberry on the front,
Yeah,
and then you
that's
have like
true.
little slices. But I think it works because there's the word letter in there. But So Clover, like I would have no idea what that game is, like off the face of it, like without you describing like, oh, it's got these kind of clover shapes in it. It's like, what does that mean? What does So Clover mean?
I think technically they're shamrocks because they're 4-leaved clovers, which is a shamrock, right?
Yeah.
So Shamrock doesn't really work, does it?
No. They should have gone like Shamrockin or something.
Shamrockin!
Yeah, it's really good. I really recommend that. Like, especially if you like Codenames but you're looking for something maybe a little bit different, that's like a good option. It's kind of like, it also reminds me a bit of like Just One. It's like Just One and Codenames put together. It's good. I can't remember what else we played. I feel like we definitely played some other stuff, but those were the ones that kind of came to mind when I was trying to think. So I will let somebody else have a go.
All right. Alex Meehan, should we pass on over to you? What have you been up to?
Hello, yes. Hi. I've been up to things. Yeah, I played some board games and stuff.
Sounds so convincing. It's like, I've been doing things.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of hobbies.
Yeah, so over this week, I managed to finally play the expansion for Lost Ruins of Arnak. So this is an expansion that came out for Essen, actually, and we managed to grab a copy while we were at the convention. And it's the first expansion for Lost Ruins of Arnak, which came out in 2020. And this expansion is really interesting. It's very modular. So for those who may not know, Lost Ruins of Arnak is a board game where it combines kind of deck building and worker placement. It's a game where you're exploring an island, trying to find the secrets behind the island. So you're archaeologists. But the long and short of it is you're trying to get the most points by the end of 5 rounds. And you can get points in various different ways, from collecting resources, spending those resources, traveling across the island, and things like that. So it's definitely one of these games that there's a lot already there to kind of dig into. But the expansion adds even more. So we played using some parts of the expansion. And the ones we played with are the playable characters that they've added. So in the original games, you're just generic archaeologists. Indiana loans. I was the only one on after that. But in the expansion, they add specific characters that have abilities and cards that you can use. So I played as this, surprise, I played as the Baroness lady who is wearing like a full-on early 1900s dress situation with like a a big hat and a parasol and stuff. And she has the ability to kind of combo certain cards together to get more resources, more money, things like that. So she had this really interesting card called Special Delivery, which meant that whenever I bought a tool card, instead of it going right at the bottom of the deck, like it usually does, it went straight into my hand, so I could use it on that turn, which was really good. And then she also had a card that gave me resources if I had tool cards in my hand. So it's kind of like her deal was like feeding into a system of you can combo from having tool cards, and then those tool cards give you like extra things on top. And then my other friends, one of them was playing this explorer who had like a bird that could explore the island for her in advance. So she could look at some of the cards that were like on the board and choose like between them. And also she could move this bird along using an action on her turn. And the further she moved the bird along a track, the better resources, like rewards she got from doing that. And then my other friend played this character who could perform like rituals. So in the game there are fear cards, which usually are bad things. They give you minus points. But this character was able to essentially spend fear cards in order to do these special rituals that meant that he could do all sorts of things that were really beneficial to him. So all three characters were really different and kind of provided different play styles. And it almost made the game more asymmetric, if that makes sense, like a more asymmetric version of the game. So already it's the kind of game where people will do different things from each other just because there's so much you can do that you're unlikely to like all be doing the same kind of thing during the game. But here it made us go on even more different paths because naturally our characters were more inclined to do certain things. So I was doing the research track quite a lot because the research track often requires a lot of resources to do, and I was able to get that resources from using my sort of combo situation. And also I was able to defeat the various guardians that were on the board that required like resources to defeat them. So we're using that. We put some extra cards in the game as well that come with the expansion, and we got some cards from the from Essen that were like exclusive to the event that we put in the game. And I'm trying to think what else we put in there. There were certain stuff we didn't use. So, for example, there is a research track board that you can add to the game to replace the existing one, just to make that experience different. And it's double-sided, so there are essentially adds two different research tracks to the game, and it adds a variant on the so in the normal game you use this thing called a moon star to sort of determine which round you're on, but the moon star that's it's moved across the board to change how many artifact cards and how many tool cards are available to buy. But this other moon star kind of provided a variant to the game that changed how that worked. So there were several bits of the expansion that we didn't even play with, but just using those playable characters changed the game so much. It is quite a lot to get your head around, especially if you've only, like my friends had, played the game once before. So it's already a very complicated game with even more complicated elements on top. But if you enjoy Lost Ruins of Arnak, the expansion is very good.
Nice. What's the expansion called again?
It's called, oh my goodness, Researchers or something. It's the only expansion for the game, so if you type in Lost Ruins of Arnak expansion, you'll get this, because there's also a free solo expansion that came out online that you can download if you want, which might be released as an expansion officially. When I spoke to one of the co-designers of the game at Essen, they were like, yeah, we're looking to release a new official expansion of the solo campaign, before Czech Games came back to me and said, no, we're not. And I was like, well, somebody's lying here. I wonder who it is. Yeah, so essentially the expansion is very good. I think it adds a lot to the game. You can also fit all the expansion bits in the box for the core game, which is great. Yeah, would recommend. It's just more ways to play Arnak, and that game is already so versatile. Like, the replayability is great, so they should just add more. If you've not tried the core game first, I'd really recommend doing that, because the expansion just adds even more, like, on top of a pretty big rule set. Also, it was the first time I played the physical game, because before I played it on Board Game Arena. And oh boy, it took a very long time to set that game up with the expansion element, because we had to pop all the bits out, which is a lot, and then lay it down and put it in the right spaces. And then I had to figure out how the expansion stuff fit in. So putting all the cards in the deck, and also like working out where all the different sort of playable character pieces go and stuff. So I think it took us about half an hour to set the game up alone. And then it took us about 2 hours to play the game, which is usually about the time it takes to play that game. But yeah, I lost. So there you go. But,
so a negative review overall. It was really good up to the point where I lost.
No, the scoring was incredibly close though. Like, the person who won by like 3 points above me. So we were point between us, which I think is the sign of I think that's a sign of a good game, when like the things are very close. And also I think the asymmetric element just changes things even more, where, you know, it's not the case of, like, I did this very different thing because my character works very differently from others. But yeah. Also, I loved role playing as the Baroness character, as you can imagine.
Yep. Yeah, that all checks out.
Yeah. See,
yeah.
Well, because of her card where it's like special delivery, she gets what she wants straight away, because she's a woman of means. She doesn't wait for her tools to arrive. When she buys them, very much. There you go.
Yeah, sounds good. I imagine
say something.
You and Chase spoke about it last week because I was off, but we played the week before, and it was the first time I'd played, and I think the first time Chase had played, and it was good. I guess I get the hype because it won, I think, the Deutsche Spielpreis, but not the Spiel des Jahres. Like,
it was nominated for the Kennerspiel, and it was beaten by Paleo, which I've not played, but Matt Jarvis is like, until you've played the other games, you can't claim that it's not fair. Whereas I'm like, I think Lost Ruins of Arnak should have won, because I've not really heard many people talk about Paleo, whereas had a lot of people talking about Lost Ruins of Arnak. So I know they don't always pick the most popular option. They've made some bad decisions in the past. Lost Ruins was robbed because that game slaps. And when we were at Essen, I saw way more people with copies of Lost Ruins of Arnak than I saw with Paleo. And both those games were there. So there you go.
A very measured, unbiased
analysis.
It's
a very unbiased, measured argument. I don't know, something about Paleo, I wrote about it when it was announced, and it was on Kickstarter and stuff. And I was like, this looks fine. Like, the artwork's all right. I think there are just a lot of prehistoric themed games lately, and I'm kind of a bit like, eh.
Yeah, there's kind of been a running theme of that, because like we spoke about King Domino Origins a while back. The industry seems to go through certain kind of
phases
theme
of
trends.
themes.
But having said that,
this
it has
is
always
true.
been a popular theme.
We've seen a lot of those kind of games. Although the artwork for Lost Ruins of Arnak is chef's kiss. I love
it's very nice looking, yeah.
It's such a nice looking game. Oh, the expansion's called Expedition Leaders. There you go. I remembered. And it looks just as beautiful. Like, the character design is wonderful. We had friends coming over at the time. We were just finishing the game. We were like, we're hurrying up, I promise. But they saw the artwork and they were like, oh, this looks so beautiful. And I'm like, yes, it does. It does look beautiful. Yeah, so we played that. Would recommend Expedition Leaders. It's great. That game continues to slap. Love it. Other things we played was Crokinole. We played Crokinole.
Actual Crokinole with a big full on board. Nice.
Yeah.
At the office, right?
Both at the office and my friend's house. So we actually bought for my friend's wedding a Crokinole board. We sort of put all our money together to get them one because they'd heard of it and they were like, "Oh, I want to play." But as we all know, Crokinole boards are so expensive.
Yeah, they don't come cheap. They're basically, for those who don't know, it's basically just a big circle of wood, but it's polished. And I think generally you have to order them from Europe. I think they typically come from outside of the UK. So good luck now. And if you're in the US, I would imagine it's just as hard. But yeah,
well,
they
you can get them. It's a Canadian
things.
game, so
oh, of course, yeah. So the US is, if anything, probably much easier.
Yeah, it's a Canadian like pub game, right? Or the equivalent. It's like a bar
from
game.
The 1800s.
Yeah,
it's like really old. It's like I imagine I imagine it's our equivalent to darts or something. It's the kind of game you play in like that sort of setting. But for those who may not know, we have a video on the YouTube channel of Mr. Jarvis and Wheels playing Crokinole.
Yeah, so from many a moon ago.
Yeah, many a moon
pre-pandemic.
Yes. Because we do have one in the office. But it's a game where you have this wooden board, and there's a hole in the middle, and there's the circles that are sort of drawn on the board. And the goal is to try to get your pieces sort of on the board as close to the middle as possible. If you get it in the middle, it's a knoll. Love a knoll. Although we were calling it Monty Mole because we're big fans of the Mario character Monty Mole. It's a bit irrelevant, but
I don't actually know what Crokinole means because I think we just started shouting that at PAX when we were playing at PAX, and it's just stuck somehow. But I have no idea what Crokinole actually means. Or I don't know if there's an official name for getting in the middle other than just.
We've always called it a knoll or a Monty Mole. So, but yeah. However, if your opponent gets one of their pieces on the board, you have to flick one of your pieces. It has to hit one of your opponent's pieces if it's going to stay on. Otherwise, it will be taken off. So it's actually very hard. I'm not very good at Crokinole, although I do tend to go through phases of, like when we were playing at my friend's place, I was quite good there, but then when we were playing in the office, I was really bad. So it's kind of like a who knows what kind of state my Crokinole skills will be in. But it slaps. No? That game's great. It's just so satisfying, even just to watch other people play it. That was very enjoyable. And then one of my friends was like, "Oh, I just love it. I can't stop thinking about Crokinole." And I'm like, "It gets you."
That's the Crokinole
And
feeling.
then you got to
get that gliss, which is like the powder that you spread over it to make sure that everything's like, I guess, is it lubricated if it's dry? Like just frictionless, but
yeah. I think I always thought the powder acted like chalk, where it gave it more friction.
Oh,
but maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe I'm wrong. I know, but I did look it up because
it's not from sliding.
It's not chalk. It's like protein powder because I was kind of.
Maybe chalk would leave marks on the board. That's all I think.
One day when I didn't have anything better to do, I decided to try and look up what gliss was made out of, and the closest I could get was that it's some kind of dried protein, and it is edible. I think I would not advise anyone who owns a bag of gliss to eat it.
Please don't.
But I believe it's non-toxic and so on because obviously your hands get covered in it. But it's basically like chalk. It has the same kind of like texture and powdery nature.
Oh god, sorry, my door just went. Just before I go, apparently, orange is the name in France. Oh, hold on, I'll do it when I come back. I need to.
Oh no, Loli's facts. You've got that to look forward to when Loli gets back. Crokinole, great. Love a bit of Crokinole. Now I don't know whether to move on because Loli's just.
No, just go for it. Yeah,
Crokinole.
Just go for it. A Crokinole fact is always welcome at any point of this podcast.
Otherwise, we played some Cheating Moth, which I continue to suck at. I'm so bad at that game. I'm glad you find it funny.
Did we? I think we spoke
You're
about
so
cheating
mean.
on a previous podcast.
I've got to state this on the podcast, right? Matt Jarvis is so mean when we play Cheat and Moth because all he does is just goad me and make fun of the fact that I'm bad at it. So
I was equally bad. We were both completely out.
Yeah, but I wasn't going at you. I was just letting you get on with it. So Matt and I are never playing Cheat and Moth again. That's not happening. You can play with someone else. Although you gave your copy to Liv, I think. But,
yeah, I did. That's fine. This is like when my friend existence because everyone was such an accomplished liar at that point that we couldn't trust each other, and it was starting to. Our actual friendships were in danger, so we were just like, look, we need to just not play this anymore. Let's play something nice.
Yeah, no. It's one of those games where it's like, oh god, I wish I was good at this game because it sounds like amazing. And then when you watch other people be good at it, you're like, oh, that's so cool. I love that. Like at one point when we were playing the game, my friend had managed to put several cards down his shirt without any of us knowing. I wish I could do that, but for some reason I just can't. I'm the most obvious person ever when I'm trying to get rid of card. So there you go. Yeah. Otherwise, we played the new entry in the Dark Pictures anthology, video game anthology, House of Ashes. It's something that we kind of done as like a Halloween tradition now, where we play the new entry in the series because they often come out around Halloween. Because I think they know a lot of people like doing that. It was very good. I would recommend it. It's probably the best in the series, not counting Until Dawn. Yet. There were one or two characters we really liked. One especially, who was a sweet boy. And that movie night feature is just so good, where you can kind of assign characters to different people. We had like teams, so two of us would be like one character, and we'd switch the controller between us whenever it was us. But we managed to finish that, and also we played some of the new Mario Party Superstar.
Is this like a new version of previous Mario Party that came out on the Switch, or is this a new?
So this is Mario Party Superstar. Is it's a bit confusing. It's old boards from the first 3 games, a mixture of those, with all of the mini games in the entire series, or it might just be the 64 and the GameCube mini games, with mechanics from the old games as well from those boards in one game, but with like new graphics and stickers and things like that. So it's a bit of a hodgepodge, but it is much better than the previous Mario Party on Switch, which sucks because Super Mario Party is boring, and the maps are too small. The boards are really good. The game hates me. I have never known luck so bad. Like the first time we played, there's an event that people might be aware of called Chance Time, which is basically where things just get swapped around randomly. And my friend was like, "Oh, I can control this. This is something we can do." So we had one computer non-player character in the game, Wario, and my friend was like, "We hate Wario. We're going to steal stars from Wario." Of course, he selected Wario first, but then he didn't realize that the other things speed up after you select the previous one. So he was like, "Oh no." So then he was like, accidentally picked Star to Wario, and I was like, "Oh, this is bad." And then, of course, it was me. It was my character, Daisy. We love her. We love her enthusiasm. And my only star, which I had just gotten, was stolen from me to Wario. And our friend was laughing so much that they were coughing by the end of things. But it was very good. Yeah, we didn't actually manage to play a spooky map, which kind of the whole point. But yes, Mario Party Superstars is good. Would recommend. I wish Nintendo would have just released these boards as like part of the previous game or something. But of course not, because they want to make more of that sweet money. But apparently they're going to release DLC for this one, so that's something at least.
There's something.
Yeah, they'll actually just keep updating this one, hopefully, instead of just dunking out more bad Mario Party games.
They're all bad in their own way. Nobody wins when you play Mario
They're
Party.
all, don't get me wrong. They are hateful games. Like, in both of them I came last. Some of my own fault. Other parts of it were ones that I could not control, including just having a star stolen from me randomly. But yeah, our friend who was playing Birdo won. Very, very much won. Also, a very good thing in that game is that you can buy these sticker things. But during the board parts of the game, you can just spam like these little emote things. I can't remember what they're called specifically in the game, but they just pop up like in the corners of the screen. So there's one of Yoshi being like good luck or something, and we were reading it as like sarcastically, like pressing like, oh, good luck, just over and over again. So that's a really good aspect of the game. Would recommend that.
Just utter try. It's like in Rocket League when people send well played.
Yeah, it's like that.
When you've lost like 7-0.
At one point, all you can hear is just various Mario character noises blaring out of the speakers. But Argia Raihan says, does his name begin with S? Yes, it does. The character.
This isn't House of Ashes, not Mario Party.
From House of Ashes, yes. His name does begin with S.
All right.
There you go. That was me. I'm done.
Nice. Lolies, your Crokinole fact. You've kept us in suspense.
The name Crokinole derives from Crokinole, a French word today designating in France a kind of cookie, or in French Canada a pastry somewhat similar to a donut, except for the shape.
Oh.
Delicious, except for the shape.
Except for the shape. Yeah,
So
I know.
What is the donut if not the shape?
Well, maybe it's still round, but it doesn't. No, donuts
Maybe it's
can be
still
round.
fried.
Like
So like donuts are specifically fried, which kind of makes them unique.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a fried dough.
I get it if it was the shape, because
it's round.
You've got a hole in the middle, but
It did say like a donut, just not the shape. It didn't say a donut.
Just
apparently,
a dip in the middle.
It also used to designate the action of flicking with the finger, and this seems the most likely origin of the name.
Okay, the old flickaroo.
It just keeps going. There's apparently like the origins are like a bit unsure, but they think. Hold on, let me just scroll back up to this fact. The earliest known Crokinole board was made by craftsman Eckhard Wettlaufer, which is a German name, in Ontario, in Canada, in 1876. And that apparently is in a museum. Plus, I found out there's a documentary called Crokinole. So if you want to find out more, go watch the documentary. Yeah. It's called Crokinole. So
we'll do a watch along.
Yeah.
I think they put like the World Championships on YouTube as well, because I've watched a couple of those, and the people in the World Championships, as you'd expect, are incredible at that game.
Okay.
It's the same with
dexterity that I cannot ever fathom having.
Yeah, when you see people like in the World Championship of Clask, it's like, what? Like, how are you even seeing this with your eyes? I don't understand.
Amazing. Nice.
Okay.
All right. Well, never say that this podcast isn't educational. Before we dive into a very non-educational discussion of what I've been up to.
Yeah, Matt Jarvis, what have you been up to?
Very little. Thanks for asking. I had a week off. I didn't play many board games because I was busy doing other things.
I didn't play board games during my week off either, to be fair.
Board games are work. When I have time to not work, I do other things. And other things included seeing the new Dune movie, which I thought was good.
I want to watch it.
I also really liked it.
Very big spaceships moving slowly to kind of score.
That's what you want.
The music is beautiful, actually, in it, I have to say.
Yeah, Hans Zimmer doing something that isn't just, is doing the Hans Zimmer thing.
Yeah.
But almost taken to like the nth degree where it actually works again. It's very good. I liked it a lot more than I thought. Because I'm not a huge Dune fan. I think most of my interest in it actually is the board game, the 1979 board game. But big worms, they're fun to look at.
Fun to look at, Matt Jarvis. It's true.
Yeah.
I was a bit similar. I had like no to low expectations going in, but I loved it coming out. I'm really looking forward to the next one, actually.
Well,
Yeah.
I have I still need to watch it hopefully next week. But I have high expectations because the director made Blade Runner 2049, which is way better than it has any right to ever be.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, this might be good, everyone. This might be great.
It's good. I would say it's not as good as 2049. I would say, but it is very good. It's not. Denis Villeneuve continues to kind of do good sci-fi, and some of the designs are really, really good as well. Of kind of the ships and the costumes, and everything's very orange. That is one thing that it does share with Blade Runner 2049 is
Orange.
They just
palette.
love an orange filter. If you like looking at Zendaya like through an orange filter for 2 hours and 40 minutes, then this is the film for you, because there's a lot of Zendaya and a lot of orange.
If you want to imagine Zendaya in a bottle of Iron Brew,
basically,
this is the film. This is the film you should watch.
I remember it being very white, but maybe I'm misremembering. It has been a couple of weeks since I've seen it, but I feel like I remember it just being like incredibly white all the time.
I honestly, I don't. I just remember like once they're on Arrakis, it's just a lot of like. There's a lot of the spice, which is that kind of like dark orange kind of color.
Yeah.
Different strokes for different folks.
But one thing we can agree on is. I also watched the new My Hero Academia film.
Oh no! Look, Chase isn't on here. You can't try this.
But that's about what I'm going to say about it. It's another one of those films for people who like that series. The thing with those films is that they are set outside of the main series. So for folks who don't know, My Hero Academia is basically a load of superpowered kids at a school, but all the films take place in a separate kind of like, this will have no bearing on the series. So you get to the end and you're like, yeah, everything is as it was. Thanks for the slight diversion. So there we go. I played the whole of Death Stranding. I don't know why, but I did. I carried that baby.
I swear,
I carried that baby a long, long way across
the amount
America.
of times I have sighed on some of these podcasts.
Yeah, I have that effect.
I spent time doing this, and I'm like, I mean, each their own. Fair enough. I've heard some people love that game, but honestly, Death Stranding sounds like a game that I would hate so much.
I expected to hate it, I'll be honest. But it has, like, there's some interesting stuff where you have to manage your weight load and distribution of weight because you carry a load of stuff on your back. You are Norman Reedus, you have a baby. Some of the things that happen in that game are, if I were to describe them, it would sound like I was just making them up because they are so bizarre and odd.
I will say, just to note, Mads Mikkelsen is in this game.
Mads Mikkelsen is there. He said he at points in that game will look at the camera, which is you, and go, "It's Daddy."
No, I'm mad about Mads.
Yeah, because when you're in baby-o vision, like he just looks at you and he's like, "It's Daddy, BB, it's Daddy." I can't do it.
You can't say when you're in baby-o vision and then just like not expect any backlash from that. Look, like no questions asked.
Sometimes you see through the perspective of the baby, and Mads Mikkelsen is there, and he's describing himself as Daddy. It's that kind of a game. Anyway, I liked it a lot more than I expected. It took me 25 hours to finish. You
and Liv are terrible at fishing. Like fishing for me. Like when you're talking about Tom Hiddleston, when you talk about Mads Mikkelsen saying he's Daddy. Like this is a family-friendly podcast. Okay. Yeah. Lolies is just looking so.
It's a story about a man and his BB, who's a baby. Yeah. Also, someone in that is called Samantha America Strand.
The
names are ridiculous.
No Die Man or something. Die Hard Man.
Die Hard Man, whose real name is John something McClane, which isn't a spoiler.
Kojima I know this for a fact. Kojima has a history of wholesale just taking like bits of films that he likes and just putting them into his work and not
it is
changing.
Shameless, but it got me thinking about board games. To bring it all back, it's like I'm trying to think of a board game that is that has ever been that kind of out there. Because Death Stranding is like a AAA video game. It has, you know, it has Mads Mikkelsen, it has Lisa Seydoux, it has Norman Reedus, it has the face of Guillermo del Toro, and like Nicholas Winding Refn's in there as well, and Edgar Wright and Junji Ito. So there's a lot of money went on that, and I'm trying to think of a board game that's ever been that, like, what's the equivalent of a board game that is a big kind of mainstream thing, but it's just so utterly bizarre and strange and kind of experimental. And the closest I could get was something like Risk Legacy, because Risk Legacy, when it came out, was so different, but Risk is such an established kind of thing. Everyone just knew what Risk was for decades, because it was just that game where you have little soldiers and you roll dice. And then Risk Legacy comes along and kind of tore all of that up. And that's where it got to. But I think I would love to see more board games as the hobby gets bigger. Like, just take bigger risks and really go. Like, when is there going to be a board game about carrying a baby across America?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, right? As much as I know Death Stranding is a game I would never ever want to play because I would hate every second of it, apart from the bits where Mads Mikkelsen says he's daddy. I am very happy that it exists because it's so weird and it's very different and it's a AAA game, and we want to just see. A lot of the time, people just want to see something different and unique. And I feel like the board game industry is very odd in the fact that, number one, it's just very different from the video game industry, because even the AAA parts of the board game industry are just nowhere near like the levels of video game AAA development, you know, production, money, whatever, because the industry just is not as big yet. But like, I will say there's probably more. I'd say there's the indie side of board gaming is much larger than the indie side of video gaming, I think, where we were talking about the fact that there's like maybe 4-5 big publishers in the world of tabletop gaming, and then the rest of them are all relatively on the same level, to be honest, of like notoriety, of money making, etc. Which means that they're all more willing, I think, to take risks and things like that. So I think you do see lots of weird little board games that will never be on the same scale or something like Death Stranding, but I feel that there is plenty of room for experimentation. But it is always exciting to see like a big board, like Oath, I think.
Yeah,
might be
Oath was what I was just
the closest like modern thing I can think of at the moment, where like later games, again, nowhere near on the scale of something like, you know, Sony, I think, Death Stranding, yeah. But like, they're still pretty well known in terms of Root is a popular game. Yeah, Oath is something weird, but later games, I think, is definitely willing to put their trust and money into those kind of projects, because that's how you make things like Root. Yeah, no, that's an interesting thought experiment, Mr. Jarvis.
Yeah, and in some ways, I guess like a lot of board games are like Death Stranding is a very mundane kind of game because you put stuff on your back.
Yeah, it sounds boring to play
B.
to me.
But you think of board games, a lot of board games are like you're in a garden and you're arranging flowers, or you are like storing things in a Viking longhouse.
The thing is,
so they are just kind of like naturally mundane, but they become interesting through the mechanics, which is similar.
Yeah, although it's very difficult to say execute something like let's just say a lot of the weirdness, as far as I know, that comes with from the story, which is off the wall, and the characters and the stuff like that. I think it's much harder to kind of, you know, communicate that kind of thing in a board game. Like, I'd say there are lots of tabletop RPGs that are weird. Again, not on the same scale as Death Stranding, but they have weird stuff in them. Like Morkborg, or like Traveller, I think is number one, or like oh my god, what's that one with the artwork that's got like a weird person with a crescent head on it?
Crescent head.
I think it's just very weird. Chase really likes it. I can't remember what it's called. It will come to me at some point or something. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, anyway, Death Stranding, I played a lot of that. It was fun. The one board game I did play, which is this week, and I should preface that I played this because we have a piece of upcoming sponsored content on it, but right now I'm just speaking about it because I played it, was the Cuphead board game. The name of it, rolling dice game, which doesn't exactly roll off the tongue, so I'm just going to call it the Cuphead board game.
Yeah.
But it's based obviously on the video game. You play as Cuphead, Mugman, Ms. Chalice, or the Elder Kettle. You fight bosses. So those who haven't played Cuphead, it's like a platformer. It's kind of got the old 1930s style animation, like that very kind of early Disney. It's definitely got a look. But this kind of skips all the platforming stuff and just jumps straight into boss fights against 8 of the bosses. So working your way from like evil looking vegetables, which are in the video game, up to like King Dice and the Devil. And it's a really interesting game because it doesn't try to replicate really what the video game does in terms of mechanics. It's not like you're physically moving up and down on something and dodging bullets that way. Instead, there are timed rounds, which are between 10 and 20 seconds, depending on the difficulty. And you roll dice, and then you assign them to boss attack cards that you pull out. And by assigning dice, you dodge those attacks. But some of the cards will only require 1 die to dodge. So that gives you a little window where if you roll, it's like a symbol with a finger because you shoot with your finger. To bring everything back to Lolies' opening.
Pew pew
pew pew.
Small window, so you can choose whether to stick a die in there and attack back, which will then knock off HP from the boss. And the bosses have different phases with different attack cards in each phase. So in that way, it does end up kind of feeling like the video game, even though it doesn't try to replicate the actual gameplay. And it is hard. So Cuphead the video game, I should add another disclaimer. I'm terrible at Cuphead the video game.
Yeah, but that game is
quite
hard.
Terrible at Cuphead the board game. I was playing on the easiest difficulty, so I had a whole 20 seconds, a generous 20 seconds, to roll these dice again and again and again and try and assign them to these cards. And I got like most of the way through the first boss fight before I kind of lost. But it was exciting. Like the rounds don't last very long. It's not super complicated because obviously you're doing everything in a matter of seconds. It is literally roll these dice, try and match, assign them. I was playing by myself, but you can play with more people, and it's kind of the same mechanic, but the health scales up and things like that, but you dodge individually, so people can get knocked out, and you can revive them if you collect parry tokens and things like that. And yeah, it's a really interesting game. Like it looks pretty good. It's got separate boxes, kind of almost like a legacy game, but it is not a legacy game. But it has separate boxes for each of the bosses because they each have unique decks. There are achievement envelopes. So if you complete a certain, like I think if you finish a level without taking damage, or if you finish a level and you collect all parry tokens, things like that, you can open these and they add more weapons and equipment. You earn coins at the end of levels that you can then spend on weapons and equipment. So you can upgrade from your normal pea shooter to different things. You get charms that give you other benefits like more health. And also there are super arts, which are kind of like the big powerful moves. And yeah, it's a really interesting thing. I think it's like a good example of how you can kind of take the idea of a video game and turn it into an interesting board game. Because it isn't just like another dungeon crawler with plastic miniatures. It isn't just, it actually suits the kind of hectic nature of Cuphead because you just have a few seconds to think about things in the same way that you're dodging like things on the screen. Someone asking in the chat if it's a campaign type game. It's not, but it's kind of designed from you to work up through the bosses from 1 to 8. And there is a pad of save sheets. So you can save how many coins you've saved and which item cards you've unlocked and have equipped and things like that. And like the video game, you will earn a grade at the end of each level depending on the difficulty you played on and how much damage you took and things like this. So there is reason to replay the like same bosses again and again, like try harder difficulties. But I mean, technically, there's nothing stopping you from jumping in at boss number 8 if you want to.
Yeah.
You have to work through.
Yeah, King Dice.
But they add in more mechanics as you go through the bosses. So the first couple of bosses are literally just you dodge this, you shoot back, but then they'll add in different things to consider and different like added tokens or results to spend your dice on. And there are wallop cards as well that will give you kind of like one-off abilities or bonuses that you can then use. So yeah, it's hard. And again, like, to be completely upfront, I was playing it because we are putting out a piece of sponsored content on it in the future. So bear that in mind, but I'm just kind of speaking from my experience of it. And yeah, it was pretty interesting. I didn't really know what to expect going in. The box is bigger than I expected, because when I hear dice game, I think of a box like about this big, like kind of palm sized or hand sized, and it's like pretty chunky. But it showcases the art pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, the artwork
nice, yeah.
for the video game is like a big, huge draw.
Yeah.
So I should hope that they at least try and translate that element. But it sounds like they've actually put some real effort into this, which is nice to see.
Yes. So it comes from the OP, which is obviously the publisher sponsoring us to do the bit of content, which they've put out things like The Thing, Infectionate, Outpost 31, and various other kind of like licensed games. So they have a track record with that kind of stuff. Although
the quality is very mixed, because some things are fine, like the Thanos Rising, Dark Side Rising kind of series.
That's a big series they do.
What I would call fine, but this actually sounds like a game that they put some effort into thinking, okay, how do we translate this video game, which is very video game, into a board game? It sounds like they've done hopefully a good job. So,
I'm trying to think of, there was a game I saw recently. I don't know if it was on Kickstarter or if it's just out, but it's trying to do the platforming thing, but you kind of see the level as like a side-on view, and you are shifting like a thing up and down, and it tries to really recreate what you see when you look on a screen playing these kind of games. And this is like completely the other end, where it just abstracts it all. It's just kind of interesting to see people taking video game mechanics and trying to turn them into board games, because sometimes it doesn't work, like in Dark Souls, and sometimes it does work. And I think that this is one of the does work examples.
And the fact that I think people would be disappointed if it wasn't really hard, to be honest, because games that's notorious for its difficulty. So.
And it's designed for you to, again, like, get through the lower difficulties, like bank up these coins, buy better equipment, and that will then scale you up in a way that makes the later levels a little bit easier, because you just have more options and so on. But the core of it is still, you've got 10 to 20 seconds to roll some dice, stick them on a thing, dodge, attack. And I really like that, but I like fast-paced dice games like Pandemic Rapid Response and Fuse and stuff like that. They're all really good.
Can you imagine like a platforming game, like a board game that's trying to be a platforming video game that's like dexterity based? Can you imagine that, where you like build like a track course, and then you have to try and navigate it like using different dexterity means? I can see this.
It'd be kind of interesting, like Pitch Car. I think you create tracks, but it's more of just like a racing game, so it's not quite the same. But like a dexterity
to get like above platforms and like over enemies or something.
I guess that dungeon fighter RPG, One More Quest, that sounds like that might have some of that, but it's obviously in an RPG kind of format. But it's like mixing dexterity with more of the exploration like side. But interesting. Let's move on over to the news section, which we'll keep it pretty brief this week.
Warm the chopper up.
Thing in here, but I'm going to actually skip over this because there was a bit of news this morning about a new Dixit game, which I now can't find because it literally happened as we came into the podcast. It's called something like Stella. I think it's literally called Stella.
Stella!
Make all your jokes now. It's, for those who remember Dixit, it's the game where you have very kind of like visually abstract cards, and you tell a story, and you're trying to get, I think the card or something like that. It's been a while since I played Dixit, and I think there have been so many games like it in the time since that I combine it with others. But yes, Stella is a competitive game in what they're now calling the Dixit universe, which I find very funny because everything is a universe now. Everything is a metaverse. Everything has to be some kind of brand building exercise, and this is true to that. So it's Stella without an R. It's literally Stella like the name, and it's kind of mixing the picture association and with a kind of like, I think like push your luck element. So you have to, instead of one person kind of being the clue giver or whatever it might be, now everyone is trying to like associate the cards, but you want to try and match what other people pick as well. So you're trying to predict like what they'll. So it's like the opposite of something like just one.
There's a picture of skunks looking in a perfume shop window.
That's sweet. You love that.
So yeah, like I'm probably describing it very badly because, like I say, it hit my inbox literally as we came into this.
This actually looks stunning. I'm just looking at the pictures and it looks beautiful.
It does have it has a fantastic look.
As much as like I will be honest with you, I don't really like Dixit as a game. I think it's boring, but I do love the artwork for it, and I love the kind of games that are spun off from, such as Mysterium and Detective Club. I think those games take the core of Dixit and basically make better games with them. But hey, this one might be good. I love the idea of the skunks though. Skunk sounds great.
Oh, yeah, I have to say the artwork is out. Like Dixit, I think is, if nothing else, it is a beautiful game. Like the artwork in the game is beautiful.
Yeah.
But the artwork in this, from what I can see, is even tops that. Like it's really, really nice from what I can see.
It's got a really good look. And Dixit, so one of the things they mentioned in the kind of press release for this game, Dixit's sold like 9 million copies, which is astounding for like a board game. In just
a modern board game.
Yeah, it came out in like 2008, so it's just over a decade, like 13 years or so. And yeah, so it's become one of those, I think, it's the kind of game that you just see everywhere now. Like it's broken through to almost, I think, the same level as something like Catan or Ticket to Ride.
Oh, yeah.
I think a lot of people now will know Dixit, and it's kind of their gateway into like modern board games. So it's interesting, and I guess not surprising to see them following up. I think they've done like a couple of expansions or like standalone versions of Dixit over the years, but as far as I know, this is kind of like the first big spin-off that under a different name, but part of this like Dixit universe, as they call it. So yeah, it's cool. Let me just double check if it's got a release date. I can't remember if they mentioned something specific. This year, apparently. Board Game Geek has it down as this year. So actually, if I'm remembering correctly, I think it might even be in December, but don't.
It's showing as pre-order on some websites.
Yeah.
October, October 2021. It says.
Oh wow, blimey, that is.
It's not accurate, is it?
Oh wait, yeah, no, that's literally in the past. I forgot that we're now in November. Yes, so it's not coming out in October. I think, if I'm remembering right, it's from December. This is a slightly ramshackle way of doing it because, look, it's hot off the presses. I'm piecing it together. But yeah, there we go. A new Dixit game called Stella.
Yeah.
And speaking of new games, there's also a new trilogy on the way from the folks behind the North Sea trilogy and the West Kingdom trilogy. They love a trilogy. So this is Garfield Games, which is Sam McDonald. I think folks probably most familiar with something like Raiders of the North Sea.
Yeah, Raiders of the North Sea, I'd say. It's
Architects of the West Kingdom, Viscounts of the West Kingdom. They've done the respective trilogies, and now this new trilogy is set in South Tigris, or Tigris. So yeah, we're going around the compass from north to west to south. And yeah,
there's got to be an east one then.
Yeah, presumably there will be an east one at some point in the future once they've done a trilogy of games. So the first one will be Wayfarers of the South Tigris, and it's set in the 9th century Baghdad, and I'm just reading from Tracy's story on the website. They've actually announced what the other ones were called. So it'll be Scholars of the South Tigris and then Inventors of the South Tigris. So yeah, it will have a Kickstarter next year. And apparently it was kind of designed earlier, like during the during the North Sea. No, ignore me.
North Sea was the first ones, and then it was West Kingdom, and now it's this trilogy. So yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of like it's dice driven. You're pulling from a bag. Generally, the entries I've played from the other series, which I've largely played the North Sea ones, they've had similar but quite distinct takes on things. Like Raiders of the North Sea is kind of like a worker placement game. We were chatting earlier with Chase about one of the West Kingdom games that he's been playing, which had like a different kind of take where you cycle through cards and kind of select actions from like the free cards in front of you. So yeah, this sounds like, again, it's taking it in another different direction. But
once again, some incredible art by the artist. I'm going to butcher this name. Mihailo Dimitrescu, I think is maybe the name. Apologies if that's not right. That artist is the artist behind the North Sea and the West Kingdom games. And their art style is just so distinct and unique and just fantastic. And I've actually had other artists comment about how good that art is and how much they like it. And I think they're becoming one of those kind of, let's call them superstar artists who are of the board game world, who are kind of up there with other names that completely failed me. They're a great artist. Would recommend.
I think, like, from personal experience, my experience of particularly the North Sea games, it was like they're not hugely groundbreaking, but they are just like very well put together games. Like they're just like really like well constructed, like fun to play, not super long, not super complicated. Like they mix enough kind of ideas together where it's not just like a bland like worker placement game or whatever it might be with a good visual overhaul. They're good. And clearly they are popular enough for them to get onto a third trilogy at this point. Yep. It will be 9 games that they've put out across this kind
of expansions for several of those games. So
so this quadrilogy of trilogies. So yeah, it's cool. But we'll see more about it next year when the Kickstarter launches. All right, let's move on to this week's fun little segment, which comes this week courtesy of Alex Lolies.
Yeah. Host us, Lolies.
Mm-hmm.
Hi. It's the German name game, yeah? I'm allowed to do that. It's okay.
Yeah, you can do that.
This week's segment is brought to you by me. We've done things like this before. Wheels did one where it was like orc names, like are they fake, are they real orc names? Liv did one, right, as well, with something.
D&D Monsters, I think.
D&D Monsters, yes. And did we do colours, or did we just... I think we just chose our own colours. Anyway, we've done a few of these before. And this time is my turn, and I'm doing German game names. Are they real, or did I make them up? For any German speakers, some of these are going to be quite funny, so settle in.
I am dreading this because I think I did 1 year of German in school because it was something that they just threw in at the very end of my GCSEs, I think, because it was.
I feel like 1 year is probably enough to get you like saying, "How are you? My name is blah." And I'm saying you probably wouldn't be able to do necessarily a lot of like game names because you might not know a lot of words.
And this would have been like 15 years ago at this point, so.
I think you'll still get a couple of these though.
Whereas. I'm completely in the dark.
No, I mean you, plural, will get a couple of these, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, no, I've never studied any German. We did Spanish at my school.
Spanish I would have loved.
And now I do Japanese. So if we were doing Japanese, I might have a chance. But German,
that can be the next segment.
I'll do Japanese.
All right. Well, I'm gonna jump straight in with the first one. You have to tell me real or fake, because these are either actual games or they're not.
Oh, okay. So they are right. Got it.
Yeah, they're either German name like games or just stuff I made up. Okay, and I've checked BGG for any ones I made up as well, just to make sure they're not actual games. Because for some of them they were. I was like, oh, okay, I can't use that. Yeah. Okay, the first one is Die verbotene Insel.
Can you spell verbotene, please?
Verbotene. Verbotene.
I'm gonna say no.
I'm gonna say
fake.
it is real.
Okay, we've got one fake, one real.
But I don't know what I think it is.
You don't. Well, do you want to have a guess? Just even Die verbotene Insel.
I don't even know where to start. I feel like verbotene puts me in mind of like someone speaking because I'm thinking of the word like verbose.
Okay.
But that's probably way off the mark.
Okay, well, I'll tell you the answer. It's Forbidden Island.
Oh,
Yeah.
Right.
I was thinking Insel might give it to you, but I don't know why.
Yeah, they
Your
are.
confidence is appreciated.
I will warn you, they are putting answers in the chat, which is fine. I'm just not going to look at the chat.
Oh, okay. Who got it? I think I saw somebody got it in chat actually. Oh, Pietro
Few people
got it in chat. Hold on, I'm gonna write down a score.
Yes, I'll tab off of that as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
So-
I got it right, but not for the reasons I thought.
Yes.
No.
The second one is Tassen im Schrank. Tassen im Schrank.
Fake again.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
going
this
fake
is not
again.
You're both saying it's fake.
Yeah.
Okay, Tassen im Schrank means cups in the cupboard, and it is fake. It's the kind of thing that Germans will say sometimes if they're real mad, and they're like, instead of saying "Are you crazy?" they say, "Do you have all the cups in your cupboard?" So that's where I got that from.
Okay.
So you both get a point for that one. Well done.
That would be a great name for a game, though, I think. Cups in the Cupboard. Like, I can see it.
Yeah, I
Yeah?
can see that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Uwe Rosenberg game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
child
Wolfgang
playing,
Asch.
for sure, yeah.
Or Rainer
Yeah.
Knizia, most likely, actually.
No, it sounds like homely.
Yeah,
I
that's
kind of feel
true.
Like that's a Rosenberg
Could be like a
style.
cottage house or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, something in the cottage core
Yeah,
Rosenberg
Cottage Garden
collection.
Yeah.
meets Cottage House.
Oh, that'd actually be quite nice. Maybe I should hit him up.
Yo, Uwe.
Jovi. No.
Yeah.
The next one is Der Popel.
Can you spell it, please?
A Popel is Popel.
I'm gonna say it's true. It's real.
Can I say it's fake? Does it mean... I assume it doesn't just mean people.
Nope. It is indeed... Wait, you said true and fake?
Yeah.
Meehan
Yeah.
said true. Okay. It is fake.
Ah.
It means it means the snot. So
I just imagine that as a board game, a kids
The
game.
German equivalent of
Look.
bogies.
yeah, it's
Already-
essentially the bogies. Yeah,
We've already had the poo game revolution. It's
Mm.
time
Yeah.
for the snot game.
you never know. You never know.
Do-
I
do
mean,
we
there is.
really?
Yeah, I was just gonna say there is that game about snot, but it's not called Der Popel if there is. The next one is Flinke Flitzer.
This one I'm going to say is true, and I'm going to say it's a Frederick Frieser game. Wait, is it? Wait, is it Friesman? I can't remember the name. One designer who labels
Yeah, I know
everything
who
with
you're
Fs
talking
and they're all
about.
green.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Have I seen this one anywhere? Yeah, I'll go with true. Because I think Matt might be on something.
So you're both saying it's true. It is
Yeah.
indeed true. However, it is a Rainer Knizia game.
Ah,
Knizia, you old dog. What are you up to?
Next up, we've got.
oh wait, what
Gans-
did it mean? Did it have a?
So I don't really know how to translate this. It's quite like I feel like it's quite colloquial. It's like quick, like racers, I would say. Flink. I don't really know what flinker means, but that's how I would read it. I think if I saw it.
All right.
But it's something about racing, I think. Anyway. Then we have ganz schön verdächtig.
See, I know ganz schön clever. So I wonder whether I'm gonna say it's fake, and I think it's one you've made up along the lines of trying to catch us out of ganz schön clever.
Yeah, is it That's So Raven, but in German?
No, it's ganz schön verdächtig means that's pretty sus. And it's another Reiner Knizia game, so you're both wrong on that one. Yeah, I thought that you might think that I'm trying to get you with that because it does.
Did you give an answer?
I can't remember, but I would have guessed it was fake.
You both said fake. You
I
both said
got it
fake.
wrong, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Then we have Duden King.
Fake. Fake Duden King. Fake.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this is fake.
Okay, this is a true game. It's from 1988.
No!
Yeah.
Wow.
Duden. So I specifically looked up Duden because it's one of my favorite German words. It just means dictionary, or it's either dictionary or thesaurus. It's one of those. But it's my favorite German word. And
Dictionary King.
I just put in Duden and it was like, yeah, Duden King is a game, and I was like, okay, I'll take it. Okay, the next one is Brustwarze das Spiel.
Something the game.
Yeah, so it's Brustwarze and then colon das Spiel.
I'll say it's true, yeah.
Okay, you'd both be wrong, because that is Nipple the game.
Nipple the game! I want it to be real.
This is me just like game? This game is all about me just sneaking in like stupid German words.
It's a dexterity game if I ever heard it.
Oh, we have
Jesus!
To nipple.
Oh my god! It's like Bop It, but you gotta like flick it or twist it or.
No. Okay. Too far.
Lick it. No, I'm gonna stop.
No. No.
On to the next one.
Yes.
On to the next one.
Podcast.
The next one is Zug um Zug.
This is true, I think.
I'll go with false just to go against Matt.
Matt, do you know what it is?
It's not Animal on Animal, is it?
No.
I don't know then.
It's Ticket to Ride. The German name for Ticket to Ride is Zug um Zug.
Yeah, actually, yeah, I should have.
I thought you might know that one.
Now that you say it, I'm like, I have seen this before.
Yeah. It would have been a lot like when we were buying secondhand games, me, and a lot of the games were like Zug um Zug everywhere. So I was like, maybe I'll get this one. Yeah.
No, I would not have paid attention to that at all. I was just like, where's Cheating Moth? That's all I care about.
I've got 4 more. We have Touren und Taxis.
Yeah, true, yeah.
Yeah, I'll go true, because I wonder if taxi is a universal word.
This one,
that's
the
used.
Spiel des Jahres.
In 2006, yes.
Yeah.
I was hoping that you might get this. Very well done, yeah. I love the English name for this is just Touren and Taxis. They've just changed the and bit. But yeah, it's one kind of Spiel des Jahres. So yeah, I was wondering if that was like...
Right.
That.
Matt Jarvis' just encyclopedic knowledge.
Well, I used to... The magazine I used to edit had a regular feature on every winner of the Spiel des Jahres by James Wallace. So yes, I remember reading about this when 2006 rolled around.
Well remembered. Wow. Okay, then we have Alle meine Enten.
I'm gonna say no.
It's real.
Alle meine Enten means all my ducks, and it's actually a German nursery rhyme, not a board game.
It
Again,
could be a children's
could easily
game.
be, yeah. That's a harder game.
To be honest, I was surprised when I looked it up and found it wasn't the name of a game, because as you say, I can easily imagine that being, like, I don't know, I can just imagine it, like, you going around the board, you have to try to collect ducks, and they follow you or something like that. Yeah.
Like a Hammer game.
Totally. I can I can almost see the cover of the game.
Yeah. It's like a mama duck and then like ducklings on a pond or something.
Then we have two more. We have Gedanke auf der Planke.
I
True.
want it to be
It's
real,
real.
but I'm gonna say it's real.
Okay,
It's good.
both saying true. This is a new game by Zoch, which came out in 2021, and it's it's about a fight on a pirate ship. A planker being a plank, and it actually looks really cool. I really want to try it. I found it just because of doing this, and I was like, this looks awesome. I want to see this.
I like the idea of discovering games by just typing in words that you like into being like, yeah, great.
I don't
Like,
even know
I'm
how
not
I
a game about
found that
planks.
one. I think I put auf der, and then it just was, it was there. Anyway, and the last one, but certainly not the least one, is Die Katze furzt.
I reckon this is real.
Okay, we've got a fake and a real. Die Katze furzt means the cat farts. It is fake.
Oh,
Yeah. Again, it could be a board game.
come on. A lifetime of cats, I can assure you it is not fake.
It was like that call we had the other day, and Honey was just really going for it.
Thinking, yeah, just a gas bag.
That was quite close. So Meehan was on 5 and Matt was on 8 points. So you did really well, actually. Out of I think I did 12. So you got Matt got more than half, and Meehan got just under half of them right, which is pretty impressive.
Nice.
Board game knowledge helped in there, I think.
It did. I think it just was like the little thing that got him.
Yeah.
Lack of
extra
German
couple
let me
points.
down.
Being an encyclopedia for board games.
Yeah, thanks, Lolies.
Yeah.
That was fun, yeah.
I hope that I will one day remember all of these, but I almost certainly won't. Other than Ticket to Ride, which I failed to remember this time anyway.
I was hoping that anyone in chat who speaks German enjoyed that immensely.
All right, let's shift over. We got time for a couple of emails before
Email.
we go. Meehan, would you like to read this one from Kay Collier, please?
Yeah, I can do that. Kay Collier says, at Dicebreaker and chat, what's a game you like but your friends think is meh?
I've been
there are so
thinking
many
about
of
this.
these.
Yeah. I can't think, actually. I feel like there's definitely so many, but I've been trying to think for the last 10 minutes or 20 minutes, and I just can't think of anything right now.
I really liked Vinhos, the Vital Lacerda game that's like a very heavy Euro game about making wine. And I reviewed it at the time it came out, and my friends, helpfully, as they often do, were drafted in to play with us, and they really did not enjoy it. And I did. So, yeah, there are quite a few games like that. I really like Twilight Imperium 4, and some of my friends are not that fussed by it. I think big and long games sometimes can be tricky to get people on board with.
Some people just aren't into those.
Yeah, and Container. Oh, Container's so good.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh, the amount of times.
Obligatory mention of Container.
Like the most Matt Jarvis game ever made.
Wow. Speaks so much to my personality that the game that reminds you of me is about shipping containers.
Because you specifically told me about this. This was the first time you told me about this game, one of many times, was when we went to EGX, literally a week after I started or something like that. And then you were telling us about Container at EGX, and I was like, this game sounds very boring. But you were very passionate about it, and I was like, well, you know what? Your passion is almost selling it to me. But,
boring but passionate is the vibe I go for.
It sounds very Eurogamey, which have grown on me a bit more over the past year or so. It does depend on the game itself, but
yeah, an economy simulation game is how I describe it, which makes it sound really boring, but is actually really fun because you can basically just break the economy, which means that it can not be fun if you run out of money and nobody wants to give you any money. But
Black Cat, lovely. Games that I like that my friends don't. I mean, it's tricky because some of my friends are on board with certain games and some aren't. I'd say maybe Betrayal is one that's kind of split the group a bit. Some of my friends really like it. Some of them don't like it. And the main reason is because the game is broken. And it can feel a little bit rubbish depending on the scenario you play. So there is a random element to whether it's going to be any good or not. And some people will play it and they'll be like, "Oh, this was rubbish because of certain random elements just ruined it for them." Whereas I'm always sort of on board with it in terms of when you play this game, you just have to have the understanding that, you know, it's not a strategy game. It's very not driven by that. It don't try and be that competitive with it. It's very much a horror spooky experience. I think that's the closest thing I can think of. We often play games that we all sort of like most of the time. So
yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, I feel like I never really get much of a chance to play games more than once or twice, to the extent that like if people don't enjoy a game, we just don't really play again. But like I feel like I've not really had enough chance to suggest games, I guess, and play them more than once with people.
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely an element of that. It's like you say, like if I like something and all my friends don't, then probably won't play again, even if I like it. It's like because no one's gonna have fun.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna have fun if everyone else is like, ugh.
Yeah, so... I have certain games that so I have certain friends who just outright don't like certain types of games. Like, so I have some friends who won't play deception or like bluffing games and you have to lie because they hate lying. Even in a board game session, it makes them anxious, and I'm like, that's fine. Yeah, not everyone's comfortable with that.
Yeah,
but yeah,
like very backstabby games. I get.
Yeah, I love. Yeah, you love them because you're a cold-hearted man.
I love them too.
Really thought you were going to say something else for a second then, but it's fine.
No, some people just get very anxious when they have to lie. They don't like it.
Yeah, which is fair enough. And yeah, like games where it's very, people can gang up, and it's like sometimes people can be in the mood for that, sometimes you're not. Like diplomacy is like that. It's like at some point everybody has to turn on someone because that's how that game works. But it sucks to be that person. Unless you are just a natural heel, in my case, where it's like, I remember the first time I played the Dune board game, it's like I was allied with someone and then they broke that alliance and allied with and I couldn't do anything about it. It's like, but I just accepted that was the way it's going to go, and that's fine.
Pretty. Lovely.
All right.
You good kneading, Lolies.
Yeah. He doesn't really sit on my lap much, so this is actually like such a treat for me. He likes sitting on laps, just not necessarily mine.
Lolies, if the cat is not
that's fine.
Your hands. Can you read this one from another dummy user, please?
Another dummy user says, I've seen adverts for a new Monopoly game with a spot the fake builds mechanic. Do you think this is innovative or just a gimmick?
I don't actually... sorry.
I was just going to say, I had a little Google when the question first came in, because I was like, I don't know what that means. It looks like the game is like... It looks like it's like Monopoly at its base, but it's mostly about this like fake notes. I don't know. It's hard to figure out what the game actually is from just the pictures. I would assume, based on the fact it is a Monopoly title, that it is a gimmick. That's all I can really go on.
We're biased or anything.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go.
I'd still play it.
Yeah. Monopoly just seems to be leaning into buy this game as a novelty at this point. It's like there was the Cheaters edition, and there's the one where it's just a gun that fires money at you.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then there's this one. There's like
don't turn it off.
Monopoly for millennials and all of that kind of thing.
Oh yeah. Like, well, they'll do the troll versions, which are just like let's have a go at a particular group. Have the themed versions, which they just roll out every day. But these gimmick ones, I mean, you like Monopoly Deal, but that's its own kind of thing.
I do like Monopoly Deal, but it's almost because Monopoly are and it leans into them. No, it leans into them, but it's like because it's only like 15 minutes long, it doesn't drag on, and you kind of know going in that everyone is just like out to screw each other over with cards. gets rid of all the like bits in the middle where you're just going around the board and like it takes hours to be horrible to each other. And instead it's like 15 minutes of like quick, like I'm going to steal all your money and run kind of stuff. So
Matt Jarvis wants to get to being mean as soon as possible.
Let's get to the point.
That game is mean, but because it's so short and because it is just that, I feel like it works. It's kind of like, you know, it's like Uno or whatever. Like it's so focused that there's not really a lot to. But yeah, I feel like a lot of the Monopoly problem is that it just like it stretches everything to Monopoly. And at this point, everyone owns Monopoly, so they have to constantly add like a new thing to it to be like, here's why you should buy another one. Like, here's the one where you use a fake plastic credit card. Here's the one where you have like mobile banking, or here's the one that plays. There was one that played the Game of Thrones theme and had the Iron Throne in the middle.
Yeah.
I will say, at least with this one, it seems to be adding like a mechanic rather than just a gun that shoots money out. I will give it that credit. The rest of it, yeah, it's still got the board. It's still got all those rubbish bits. So
the Fortnite one is meant to be all right, because the Fortnite one just gets rid of.
What do you do with the Fortnite one?
You actually build stuff. So again, it just adds a completely different.
Yeah.
Manderson Living Color asks, I understand the hate that you all have for it, but have you folks ever played Monopoly on a video? Yes, we have. We've played
for charity.
hours of Monopoly. Yeah, for charity a couple of months ago. So you can find that entire stream on the YouTube channel if you search for Monopoly.
Oh,
so yes, there's a lot of Monopoly in that one video.
He's holding my hand.
Oh,
he literally just stretched out his paw, and now his toe beans are just resting on my hand.
But if there's nothing else either of you have to add,
that's my this is my mouse hand, so we can't finish the stream until he's finished sleeping.
That's it. You're never moving that hand again.
There's now the 6-hour cat podcast.
Yeah, 5 hours later.
It's the hour and a half podcast with 4 hours of ASMR purring down the microphone.
He doesn't purr. He meows loudly, but he doesn't purr. And then his sister doesn't meow, but she purrs like nothing else. I could hear from the other, I don't know, from miles away. She's very loud. She's so small, but purrs so loudly.
Small but mighty.
But for now, at least, that is all the time we have on this week's Dicebreaker podcast. Thank you very much, Alex Lolies, for being here.
Thanks for having me. Shh. Pew, 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 pew.
Thank you, Alex Meehan.
Wow. Yeah, it's been great. Chris Longhurst says, if you've got 7 hours, watch the YouTube video on Resident Evil that Noah Cadwell-Gervais did. Yes, do watch that. It's a great video. 7 hours. It's great.
You could like watch our Monopoly stream in a different window as well and see if they sync up like Dark Side of the Moon.
Exactly.
And Wizard of Oz. I'm sure that'll work out great.
Yeah, it'll work out. Like our streams are basically like Resident Evil, right?
Yeah, but in so many ways.
Yeah, there's a big tall lady. There's a spider somewhere.
For now, that's all the time we have on this week's Dicebreaker podcast. We'll be back live next Friday from 2 p.m. GMT.
2 p.m. Pew,
2
pew.
p.m. beer.
You can also catch this in audio form over on Spotify and iTunes and places like that. But until we meet again, thank you for listening and have a lovely day. Bye-bye.
Bye.